Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is the finals of the ESL Open Cup Europe number 232. Couple $100 on the line. It's of course a Terran versus Protoss. These two have been playing against each other pretty much every single weekly over the last 3 to 4 months. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner. Game number 1 on a map called Golden Aura. Playing with the blue SCVs, joined by the little polar bear on the main command center. Of course, we have none other than Clem. His opponent from Denmark, the always mysterious. We have none other than MaxPax, playing with the red Protoss pieces. Now, I was gonna say, I saw an SCV bunched up right at the very beginning of the game. Apparently, we're starting off this match with a cheeky little... Well, I thought it was gonna be a proxy Rex. Are we gonna... Yeah, it's gonna be a proxy Rex. It'll just be the second barracks instead. Okay, so here's the thing. These two, they play against each other so much as of late. I think this is probably my favorite rivalry, actually, in 2024. These two going up against each other is an absolute blast, because even though they very frequently play suboptimal strategies and they totally know it, they do it on purpose because they know that the opponent knows them so well. There's this weird internal meta whenever players go up against each other all the time, and... well, this probe is going to be locked out of the main base. It's going to deal a little bit of damage to the supply depot, and technically it could kill it, but there is no way right here for MaxPax to know that he is being proxied. Now, it's going to be a Marine first over here. I don't think this is really going to be a very committed push at all. Clem will probably go for some scouting. Oh, he's going to go straight Marauder. Never mind. Never mind. Whatever I said previously about it not being committed, this is a very aggressive opener. I'm assuming we're gonna go into a Marauder here with concussive shells. And then we'll probably pump a bunch of Marines out and send them across the map too. Yep, that's exactly what we've got. In the meantime, inside of the main base right here of MaxPax, he's gonna need to absorb everything, right? Isn't that what MaxPax is okay. Now, that's what they're supposed to do. It's what I heard anyways. He's gonna have to figure out what's going on, because at this point, he has no clue. If he goes straight into a Stargate, a Twilight Council, whatever, he's, okay, gonna be in a little bit of trouble. This could be a very quick game. He's gonna check here with the Adept whether or not there is gonna be a command center on the other side of the map. He will be met by a few Marines. If this Adept randomly goes down, he will be in a world of trouble. Okay, well that at least will not be the case. Concussive shells at this point is finished. There's a shield battery coming up. Those Marines marching across at this point is awkward, and this will be the time where MaxPax figures out what he is going up against. I think a Stargate could have actually been quite nice, but a Twilight Council is going to make this really difficult. Good crisis management here, though, by the Danish Protoss player. Okay. Managed to kill the SCV as well that was building the bunker. Nice little bit of target firing. Those shield batteries are going to be critical. Snipes another one of the Marines. I mean, battery overcharge is going to be huge. He doesn't maybe even need it. Probably won't activate it until he is going to run out of energy. Nice little bit of micro here as well on those Marines. And you know what? MaxPax just handled that brilliantly. It's not over yet. There's a Cyclone on the back of this. There's more Marauders coming. This is still a scary push, but the fact that MaxPax didn't just straight up die is very impressive. Command Center now on the back of this too. Stalker is obviously fantastic. Oh my god, okay. Gotta be so careful keeping those bio units alive. Trading an Adept for a Marauder. I think that's a decent enough trade. Battery overcharge. Oh, it was a little too late. Yep. Yeah, and this is one of those scenarios that you just don't find yourself in all too often, right? So figuring out the perfect response, that's something that MaxPax is very good at. Experiencing the same aggression multiple times and then figuring out exactly how to deal with it. But this is one of those pushes that you don't really come across all too often. Now the Cyclone is going to show up. I think this is mostly over though. Those Marauders can't really fight anymore. Okay, yeah, exactly. Alright, so big picture. He's gonna get it. Yep. Big picture, where are we at? You know what? This is actually a relatively even game. Yeah, it's a nice advantage, I would say, for MaxPax, considering the situation, but this is certainly not a game where he can just go ahead and push across the map and win. Although he does have Blink finishing up. Interestingly enough, by the way, he's only gone up to 2 gateways, and he's just building another Nexus. So, MaxPax is reading this game properly. He realizes that this is not going to be one where he can just go across the map and win. It's very tempting to just march and see if you can obtain the victory. He's certainly going to try and poke, but he only has 2 gateways in total. A robo facility on the back of this right now. He's instead focusing on economy, and he's just trying to maximize the damage that he can get out of these stalkers. Okay. So, an aggressive start to this series. You love to see it. Yeah, with Blink you can be quite safe. Just using the ability would be nice. I think that one was on cooldown. We've seen a couple of, at least for these two's standard, right? We've seen a couple of minor slip-ups. I know actually that this particular series took place pretty deep into the night, like pretty late, as far as ESL Open Cups go, but I mean, these two obviously live a pretty, how do you call this? How do we say this nicely? A pretty gamery schedule. Yeah, a gamery schedule is probably the best way to word it. Clem in particular, very well known for not getting up any earlier than like 3 PM. I don't know if it's still the case, but it used to be the case at least a few years ago. It's probably still the case today. Okay, so now that the dust has settled, apparently we're just gonna play a normal follow-up here. Yeah, it'll be triple Rex. We're gonna go into Stimpack. We'll probably see combat shields here in a moment. Takes 100 gas. Doesn't really have that much gas, so he's being a little cautious about it. But it'll be combat shield Stimpack and +1 infantry attacks for Clem. Ooh, Raven. Oh, free kill. Okay, I was just looking out for that one. Apparently MaxPax managed to find it, and that's very substantial. You sort of need to get something done here as Clem, because until you finish those 3 upgrades, you're gonna be sitting there, right? And problem is, there's already a 3rd Nexus. He hasn't seen it. He doesn't really know what the follow-up is going to be, but it's gonna be a 3rd Nexus together with Colossi. And 2 base Terran going up against basically full 3 base saturation Protoss. Now we have the explosion of the gateway explosion. Or as Clem would say it, explosion the gateway. I think so, yeah. In French you just reverse things, right? I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Anyways, this is where the gateways finally come up. Charge is going to finish up. Extended thermal lens will be done within about a half minute or so, and this is a match that is difficult to lose right now for MaxPax. Obviously, I would manage it. I have lost many games after getting very far ahead. It's one of my specialities, but in this particular situation, it's going to be very difficult for Clem really to get back into this. Although he is unloading a bunch of Marines and Marauders, trying to sneak out the right side of the main. Obviously, MaxPax is not in a situation where he can just give out a bunch of units. He needs to hold this attack, right? If he holds this attack, the game is in the bag. Actually, these Stalkers, oh my god. Clem! Clem. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. The fact that he actually sent out those 2 medevacs early, unloaded them, and set up the flank, that makes this game very doable. MaxPax playing this safely, playing into the map. Golden Aura is very defensive. Now suddenly, without like that Stalker buffer, oh, Clem might be able to do this. I mean, I say that. Imagine if there were like 6 Stalkers here as well, though. Yeah, I think it's still gonna be very tough. I mean, it's nice little bit of juggling right there on those Archons. In the meantime, there is a cheeky little Zealot run by, preventing that 3rd base from coming up. 4th Nexus, of course, is a luxury. This is like the Louis Vuitton bag of StarCraft expansions. You don't really need it. Maybe you do. Maybe all my viewers have Louis Vuitton. I don't know why that's the first thing that popped into my mind. Anyways, nah, he will still be okay. Losing the Nexus is the bare minimum. Although this has become a lot closer though, because Clem ended up sniping that base. If he's given another minute... If he is given another minute or so, Clem is actually going to be able to catch up economically. He's not brave enough to go into like double upgrades or anything like that. He's still very much so in survival mode. But now the ball is on the side of MaxPax. It's now MaxPax's turn to make a bit of a decision. He decides to go and rebuild the 4th Nexus. We don't have a prism. Oh, no, we do have a prism out. Okay, I was going to say, if we don't have a prism, it's going to be really tough to reinforce this. But apparently the prism is being an absolute nuisance. Protoss main army, though, going in through the front. Couple reinforcements going in through the back. Orbital Command is finishing right now. Clem needs to hold on to this expansion, and I don't think he's got enough. GG is called. It's MaxPax who wins a very explosive game number 1. Crimson Court. Our next game in this best of 5 series. Really, Clem? I got to cast a Terran versus Protoss on this map recently between Estrella and Spirit. That game was about 50 minutes long, but if it's up to Clem, we're not gonna get there this time around. Maybe we'll just go for a cheeky little NGB block, but judging here by the positioning, yeah, no. The direction in which this SCV is running, it looks like we're gonna go for another cheeky little proxy Rex. So this is the first barracks now. It's a little different than what we had in the previous game. In the previous game, we had a barracks on top of the high ground into a proxied barracks. Clem apparently is thinking about this whole situation. He's like, yo, what if I would have had units on my opponent's side of the map a little bit quicker, Clem? He's gotta get scouted. What? No way. MaxPax check everywhere except... Wow. That's, okay, that's unlucky. I'm surprised he sent a probe out early to scan around the base, but didn't check the most obvious locations. Like, these spots are very common, especially with Reapers. If he would have actually sniped the SCV that's building the command center, the barracks, like, killing the SCV is game over immediately. It's not a big deal. You can still deal with these Reapers relatively easily as Protoss, but if you're gonna make the loop around, you may as well, you know, get the vision. Right now, Max will see that there's nothing going on inside of the main base of the Terran. Yeah. And that means that there is indeed going to be a proxy Rex. Could be over on the Terran side of the map, but these days it's quite common to be positioning the barracks right where it is. So indirectly, that's still a really good scout. It should be a bunker on the back of this somewhere. Usually, at least we see a bunker. Maybe Clem is not going to bother with it. Rarely we'll be able to get it up against somebody like MaxPax anyway, but can create a little bit of havoc, a little bit of chaos. Okay. 1 worker kill so far. Nothing to write home about. Stalker's going to pop out momentarily. Nice little bit of control here as well, by the way. Gives up 1 more, but that'll be it. Oh, and now we're gonna go for the follow-up. Really? So this is 1 singular Reaper into now Marauder Cheese. That is a strange follow-up. The proxy into a single Scouting Reaper, sometimes 2 Reapers, not really uncommon. We see that most series at least once. Maybe not most series, but we see it quite commonly. This follow-up makes very little sense, because it now hits, well, later, right? Like, it hits 1 Reaper later than it ordinarily would be. It may still just work out, though, because it is such an uncommon follow-up. Let's see. Concussive Shells is done. Yeah, he's dead. No way. Yeah, no way you can defend this. When you lose the first Stalker like that, you gotta be on point. Like, it's very hard here for Protoss to face up this army. Like, there's a Hellion on the back of this. We should probably see a Cyclone as well. Losing the first Stalker like that is too much. Cheeky little follow-up here from Clem. There's another Marauder showing up. That one is full HP. Love the Hellions here as well, by the way. GG is gold. Love the Hellions because the probes are obviously trying to get a wraparound around the Marauders, at which point, well, the Hellions can line them up nice and easily. Oh, now we give the GLHF. I don't think I saw a GLHF in any of the games so far. Now we go for the GLHF. That's a pretty toxic GLHF, right? Am I... It's probably not that toxic. There's a very good chance that MaxPax gave the GLHF while the game was loading and Clem just didn't get around to it yet. Something along those lines. But it is kind of funny to see him as the only chatter in game number 3 after getting a very cheesy build order to work. That being said though, we now have had Clem cheesing MaxPax twice in a row. I don't want to look into it all too much, but usually pro gamers start cheesing quite a bit when their macro games don't work very well against the opponent. Now, I highly doubt that Clem is concerned about playing against MaxPax, because Clem is considered to be, at least statistically, the highest ranked Terran in the world. But it is interesting to see a man who normally plays macro cheese twice in a row. I actually just had a look on a League Elec earlier today, and it turns out that MaxPax has overtaken both Maru as well as Clem statistically. So as of me recording this right now, MaxPax is considered to be the second highest ranked player in the world, right behind Cyril. Now obviously you gotta take those stats with a grain of salt, because he doesn't play offline events, and you know the drill, right? But it's still very interesting to see MaxPax still just continuing to climb. If his Wikipedia is to be believed, he's currently 19 years old. There's a very good chance he's still gonna get better for like the next 5 years. It is, yeah, it's remarkable. I really hope that one day he does decide to come play offline events, because he could certainly become one of the all-time greats. Alrighty, now MaxPax has been trying to play a regular macro game. I guess he sort of turned game number 1 into a macro game, but he really didn't need to. Now he's gonna be the one who goes for a cheeky little proxy. Okay. No Twilight Council, no Stargate or anything like that yet. MaxPax is here to bring the cheese to the opponent, and that puts a smile on my face. Give him a taste of his own medicine. It'll be just a good old gateway. Alright. Here goes the Adept, second Adept. Just popped out. Yep, we're gonna go Mass Gateway. So this is not gonna be a Twilight Council opener, no Robo facility, no Stargate. Just good old gateway units. And the reason why I think it's kind of curious is, well, that most of the maps in the current map pool, they have a flat exit or entrance into the natural expansion, right? This map, Side Delta, features a high ground. So you have a ramp right over here, which makes these openers significantly harder to pull off, because you need high ground vision, and without phoenixes, without hallucinations, without observer, right? You can't really get it very easily. You can obviously get it with a shade, and Adept can get you some vision, but it is a curious way to strategize this particular map. Twilight Council coming up. So we will see Blink eventually, I would imagine. Close. 4 HP, no problem. Third command center here, very early as well from Clem. Yeah, Clem going triple Rex before any sort of starport. So this is him committing pretty hard into economy. He's gonna have a lot of unit production in about a minute or so, but right now his army is not that big. Can MaxPax really get value out of this? He needs to get it done soon though. He needs to move. He made the Twilight. Okay, I was gonna say, he hasn't started it up yet. Chrono Boost though gets activated. Cyclone gets one of the Adepts. Stalkers are probably gonna run around. Yeah, just bypass this altogether. Adepts actually managed to get into the main base. How much damage can he do? And it looks like, well, it's gonna be quite a lot. In the meantime, the Adepts are chasing around the SCVs. Of course, they're microing multiple things. Free mule. Very tasty mule at that, because that one didn't even return any resources yet. And even though eventually all of these units will be pushed away, the Stalkers got recalled, and I think for 11 SCVs, that's a very good trade right there for MaxPax. As long as he's got Blink done before the next counterattack, he should be A-okay. It's so funny how I cast so many games where the Terran and the Protoss both are just sitting back, right? They're like trying to just play this as cautiously as possible. And then you have the guys who statistically are so incredibly good. They're just at each other's throat. Basically from the word go, right? From the word GLHF. These guys are ready to fight. There's no Tempest into Mass Viking, into Storm, into the whole shebang against... well, they could play it. They're down to play it. It's just that they rarely do. I love it. Okay. So now suddenly, you know what? With Blink done, MaxPax can continue the aggression. It's still only just 3 gateways in total. That trade, by the way, on the Marines was really not good. Clem was hoping he was going to be able to shut down the proxy, but he didn't even get that far. Without Stimpack, Marines just don't really pack much of a punch. MaxPax anticipating the movement as well, though, sending those Stalkers across the map there before the Marines really arrived. Really nicely done. And now Clem, yeah, he's going to see the Blink, but the bunker's already gone. He still is probably going to have the numbers. Here's the next follow-up, though. Yep. Here's the gateway explosion again. It's going to be charge. We'll probably go into Archons as well. Could even go into Storm if he's feeling really concerned. But MaxPax in the meantime obviously has made a 3rd Nexus. He's building workers for it right now. You can kind of tell why nobody really wants to play against MaxPax right now. Like, Clem is capable of shutting him down, but MaxPax rarely loses to anybody else currently. Since Raynor doesn't really play in a lot of ESL Cups, and Sarah obviously is in the military, it seems like nobody can really stop MaxPax other than Clem. And you can tell that this man is an absolute disaster to play against. Because he just seems to be everywhere. Like, this is right as Terran is ready to go for a move out. Stimpack just finished. Combat shields, 15 seconds. Right? Look at him. Kills 6 additional SCVs, keeps the Prism alive. There is a little bit of aggression over here, so obviously there are still like small slip-ups that could be improved upon, but I feel like if you look at like the skill progression over time, right? For the different pro gamers, most of them have flattened out quite a bit. You look at players like Cyril, yeah, he gets better, but only ever so marginally, right? Also because Cyril plays pretty much as good as we can expect. I think players like, for example, Maru, I mean, yeah, he gets better, but not very substantially. If there is one pro gamer at the highest level who is still consistently improving, I think it's MaxPax. Like, if you compare this man every 3 months or so, right? Like every 3 months or so, rather, he seems to be one step ahead of where he used to be. This is not over yet, though. Clem's army is massive. And I think he just may have lost one too many Stalkers in the middle of the map. Let's see. Does he have Storm, by the way? Yeah, he did get Storm as well. I don't think Clem knows that there's Storm. Oh, this could get really painful. There's aggression everywhere. Zealots on the left side of the map. Storm? Boom! There it is. Woo! That's hot. In the meantime, Zealots go into the natural expansion. Ay, 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 ay. I love how aggressive they're being, though. So sick. Yeah, none of this passivity. None of this tiptoeing around the opponent. Just full confidence the entire time. Even the High Templar's auto attack, okay? Full confidence. How many SCVs have been killed? 49. 49 SCVs have been killed in a 9-minute game. That's kind of crazy. MaxPax now sitting at 77 workers. 4 bases up and running. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, I've very quickly become a massive MaxPax fanboy. In the end, I'm just a fan of high-level StarCraft. Feels like it's been a while since we've seen Protoss being played like this. GG. Game number 4. We find ourselves on good old Alcyone. Alright. No more cheeky barracks? No more cheesing? Maybe. Maybe not. Hey. I thought for a second it was mispositioned. It looks like it's mispositioned. It's okay. Very rarely will we see MaxPax sending Zealots into the opponent's main base or natural expansion, right? This is usually not something that MaxPax will be aiming for in any of his games at all. He's even going for a low ground this time around. Good old low ground Wolof. He's gonna check for a proxy once again. A little bit more deliberate this time around. But MaxPax is feeling a bit of confidence at this point in time. Yeah, not actually scouting early here. Just trying to figure out what's happening. I do quite like this actually from Clem. So this is one of those very cheeky moves. We've seen a lot of proxy barracks so far in this series. MaxPax is unlikely to be checking the back of the natural expansion of the Terran. So the idea is, right, that MaxPax goes into the main base of the Terran player, sees the lack of barracks over here, check this section, sees no barracks over there, so he assumes that it's going to be a proxy Rex. It's, yeah, the tiniest little proxy Rex, I suppose. It really doesn't matter that much, but now MaxPax is going to maybe just get a fright for just a little bit. Just a moment where it's a little scary. I don't think he's really going to be bothered by it, but this is going to force out the Zealot. He could cancel the Zealot. I'm assuming the Reaper is still gonna go into the main base and snipe that probe. So I think as soon as MaxPax figures out that this is going to be a pretty normal opener by the Terran, just in a bit of a strange positioning, he's gonna cancel the Zealot if he can. Okay, he couldn't anymore. It's okay, Zealot is still gonna just go across the map. Yeah, and this can still get a little annoying actually now for Clem, because he's forced out the Zealot, sure. Reaper is going to be met by a Stalker. Zealot, very hard to keep track of where it exactly went. So he's decided to go for a second Reaper right now, but all of this means that his command center is going to be a little bit delayed. We've had a double gas opener here for the Terran. Hellion is coming up. Okay, good control against the Reaper. And now the Zealot is going to show up on the other side of the map. Obviously, this is a Zealot that is not going to be able to achieve too much. Oh, Clem didn't see. He had certainly got, yeah, he had vision of it for sure. He was busy microing on the other side of the map, I guess. And this absolute Giga Chad over here, just slicing up whatever he can. This guy was born with swords for arms. Well, he did die in the end. But let's see. And now the Stalkers show up. Honestly, if he can delay the command center even more, that would be massive. I like the Widowmine. Oh, okay. We're gonna run around. We had to commit there before the Widowmine finished burrowing. Managed to get it done, and what was supposed to be Clem pulling a bit of a cheeky one on his opponent is now turning into a very frustrating beginning. Although he can still salvage this. Looks like the Stalkers are being sacrificed. Another SCV kill would be good. Okay. Is there another one? Yeah, we're not done yet. I think you can probably run around. Yeah, that was... Ooh, I think you could, but yeah, you're gonna die. Apparently this is where we begin to dance. Time to hunt a Stalker. Stalker's dead. Nope. Stalker stopped walking? Okay, you really wanted to get the Hellion, putting the Stalker on hold position there in the end. Okay, bit of an overextension, I think, actually, from MaxPax in the end, though. He didn't need to sack the third. The third Stalker was a bit of an unnecessary moment, but the thing is, he knows that he's got an economical advantage. He knows that his natural has been up for ages compared to the opponent. So as long as he goes, yeah, just buy time, he should be okay. Now suddenly, though, there's, as there always is between these two, aggression on the other side of the map again. We have an attempted push over here at the front too. Widowmine wants to see if it can just walk into the opponent's base. Okay. Sacrificing a Stalker to make sure that we can mitigate as much of the damage as possible. Not enough energy for a battery overcharge. Nice targeting right there by Clem. Killing quite a few probes already. Okay. Blink is done at this point, but no reason to really show it. Okay, he does decide to show it. I find that a little unnecessary. Nice body blocking! Oh, he unloaded the medevac in such a way that the Stalker could not escape. It's also because MaxPax had his attention over here at the front. Probes pulled away inside of the main base. Both players microing multiple engagements at the same time. MaxPax, though, has got the strength right there of the shield battery close by. And ultimately, the aggression in the main base is going to be cleaned up. Medevac, though, did manage to escape. Now we've got ourselves a Prism. This is the reverse Uno moment, where you're being aggressive to me, and then I'm being aggressive to you, and then I'm being aggressive to you. This is like putting a +4 on top of a +4, on top of a +4, on top of a +4. I don't even know if that's allowed in the official Uno rules, but it should be. Getting the medevac there is really good. In the meantime, cheeky little liberator. Oh, what? That is not something we see all too often. It turns out if you blink at the perfect moment, you can... So, Clem, I think, retargeted right there to the low HP Stalker. And then the Stalker goes back in. And then he blinks. Huh. Huh. Okay. So that shot disappeared. Nobody knows where it is. Yeah. That damage, it disappeared into the void. Alrighty. Just micro perfectly, okay? Like you have about 5 frames, I think. And you have to take into account as well the server delay that you have, right? So these guys are probably playing with like 50 ping. You just have to pay attention and just be more robotic. Yeah, now we're gonna continue this Blink Stalker control inside of the main base. This is... The 4 Stalkers in a Prism. I feel like that's MaxPax's happy place. Like, if MaxPax went to Hogwarts, his Patronus would be a War Prism with 4 Stalkers inside of it. Wingardium Leviosa. And he is ready to just kill SCV after SCV. That's so good, though. Like, I consistently see him getting like a dozen worker kills with 4 Stalkers. Well, what about 14 Stalkers? Maybe a little overly ambitious. Yeah, as long as you have a Prism and Blink, I guess you have double Blink. Yeah, just pick up, bro. I don't think you can stay. No, I don't think you can stay. Alright. Good game here so far, though, by Clem. I think this is a more comfortable one than the previous ones that we have seen, other than the match that he ended up winning. But he's got a big enough army to push back those Stalkers. And he's going to force a follow-up here, right? So this is not just going to be Stalkers. Instead, we have a follow-up here with mostly gateway units again. It's a Robo facility straight up, but no Robo Bay. Alright. That means we're gonna have a lot of units. MaxPax is becoming the gateway man. Well, one full medevac managed to slip through the cracks. And even though we have some nice Stalker micro in the middle of the map, this needs to be addressed. We have 2 sentries and a Dream. And a force field. There's the Immortal coming out. Okay, that is too much damage. Nicely done right there by Clem. Finding the opportunity to send out a medevac with 8 Marines inside of it while you're under, like... Oh no, don't lose it. He's gonna lose it. Finding 8 Marines and a medevac while you're, you know, just about to be attacked by like 14 Stalkers. Like when we first saw the Stalkers over here, that's when the Marines left. Not really what naturally feels like the correct move to make, but anyway, sniping the medevac there is going to once again bring MaxPax to watch the other side of the map. Clem's medevac brings MaxPax to the other side of the map. Okay, now I gotta work on that one. And they're like, no, I gotta work on that one. There's gonna be a lot of gateway units though. Problem is here for Max is that he's only got 47 workers now, and Clem no longer needs to be the aggressor. Clem can just not die. Like, not dying is the main goal. Having your siege tanks on siege, though, is a bad start to that particular attempt. Immortal shows up as well. Against Marauders, it's insanely good, although it's kind of on the wrong ramp. Should have gone up the other way. Nicely sniped right there by Clem. He loses 17 SCVs in the process. Yeah, the tanks unsieged is... Well, maybe a little much, but... Not the perfect execution that Clem was hoping for, but ultimately, he just simply has the numbers. Whew, our final game for today. It takes place on Amphion. I always like Amphion. We don't see it all too often. It's very much so a map 5 type of map. This is the map, of course, with the entire left side of the map inaccessible until players either mine out the mineral fields or destroy the rocks. Or I guess send a flying unit in over there. Or I guess load a probe into a prism. and then drop it off over on the left side of the map. There's ways of getting there, but basically the left side of the map, at this point at least, it is inaccessible. Usually it seems that Terran players like to expand in the direction of the opponent a little bit more than Protoss players do. I'm actually curious what the current win-loss ratio is for this particular matchup on this map. Let me have a look. Yeah, so this is a very good map for Terran. It's got, at the professional level, in Terran versus Protoss, about a 62 win rate. 62% that is, win rate for Terran. So MaxPax would have liked to veto it, but you can only veto so many maps if you're playing a best of 5. And it seems that most of the maps in the current map pool are actually very good for Terran. A bit of a Terran map pool. That's okay. You just have to play better. Obviously, though, whenever you look at the statistics, right? So, sure, it's like a... Percentually, maybe it's good for Terran, right? Thing is, it's taking into account all of the tournament games that are played on this map for that particular matchup. And MaxPax is not your average tournament game player. Clem is not your average tournament game player. Even though the tournament, players are probably like mostly like top 50 globally ranked, there's a very significant skill difference between the 50th highest ranked player and like the 2nd highest ranked player, right? Who do you think currently is the 50th highest ranked person on the League Elect? I'm gonna look it up, since we have the start of this game anyway. Number 50 in the world is Jishi. Chinese Protoss player. Yeah, I think MaxPax would destroy Jishi. Yeah, I think Clem would as well. Although he's good. Point is, though, that you gotta take the stats of a map sometimes with a bit of a grain of salt, too. Although there are some pretty obvious, some pretty obvious imbalances. We've had some matchups on some of the maps that have like a 75-80% advantage for one race over the other. It's a bit much. Alrighty, now, last time I got to cast a game between these two on this map as well. Clem ended up getting pretty far ahead early on into the game, and MaxPax decided as a response to rush out the Phoenix ranged upgrade. He went, I think, double Stargate Mass Phoenix with ranged. Now, spoiler alert for my own video that I uploaded a couple weeks ago, it didn't work. He got killed. But I thought the idea was really cool. MaxPax ended up falling behind in the earlier stages of the game, and his response was to try and get Phoenix ranged out. We'll see. I don't think that's something he's just gonna lean into immediately, but he does seem to favor Phoenixes on this particular map. You know it's a bad map, by the way, for Blink Stalkers when MaxPax doesn't straight up open Blink Stalkers. In the meantime, on the other side, we have Clem going once again triple command center, delaying his starport in favor of Mass Marine. And that does mean he's gonna be happily building up his own economy. So this is both of them setting up for a nice little macro game. Usually we do see Phoenixes lead towards Colossi. This is the polar opposite of the Gateway Man that we saw in the previous games. This is the very high-tech style for Protoss. So rather than focusing on low-tier units and loads of Stalkers and Zealots, you focus on higher quality units instead. Main problem with this style is that you need to micro really well. If you make a mistake and you lose a couple Phoenixes, it's basically game over. I always like that cheeky little lift on the Cyclone. It's like, no, sit down. Sit down, you, with your lock on. Lift it up for a second, drop it back down on the ground. Sit down, little Cyclone man. We'll probably see a few more of those moves. There's the Robo Bay. I'm expecting a third Nexus relatively quickly, although it looks like MaxPax may be thinking about going over to the left side of the map. There's a cheeky little Reaper. Okay. Couple Marines here. A little overly ambitious. A few of them pay the price. Nothing all too extreme yet, though. That's gonna take a while. MaxPax hitting a tiny little supply block. Although I think it may actually be calculated into the build order. because the pylons are finishing up as the Robo Bay does. Yeah, probably slightly suboptimal though, but he's gonna be able to start up the Nexus here on the left side of the map, so he'll be the one expanding in the direction of the opponent, and there's a very good chance that Clem is gonna be taking his base over there too. If that is the case, they effectively become neighbors on the left side of Amphion. There's the Colossus coming up. We should see the extended thermal lens upgrade in a moment as well. Critical upgrade, can't forget about it. We'll probably see Stimpack and Combat Shield start up here in just a moment for Clem, who's got double tech lab done at this point, and he just fired up the +1 infantry attacks. And there's indeed the extended thermal lens. Alright. So Clem obviously has been in the dark for a while now. He doesn't really know exactly what's happening. He will be the one, by the way, who's expanding away from his opponent this time around. Which is curious, because last time that these two played, they expanded the exact opposite way. MaxPax was the one expanding away from Clem. Clem was the one expanding in the direction of MaxPax. Now this is a really good catch. Here's the Colossus showing up though. Big Daddy Colossus is here. Bzz, bzz. Look at this. Aww. Aww, it's gotta be really comfortable as an immortal, eh? You get to hang out in like the pouch. Don't you talk to me or my son ever again. So we do have a lot of Marines getting picked up though. And that was a really nice exchange. One Phoenix, I think? Yeah, just one Phoenix. Marines, good reaction. Very good reaction right there by the Protoss. Okay. My ear is working again a little bit. I can hear music again. It's hype. Alright. Now, this is an ambitious drop. It's gonna take a while before it arrives, and it'll probably, unless we find the 4th Nexus, okay, it'll be kind of tough to move out. It's a dangerous play because obviously at this point MaxPax has got a load of Phoenixes out. So if you're trying to skirt around the outside of the map and you have a bunch of those, well, medevacs filled with units, you may just find yourself with a lot of dead units very soon. Okay. 4th Nexus was not made yet. There's a lot of laser people. Lasermen. That's not very descriptive, actually. I think the majority of the Protoss units shoot lasers. For those of you that watch, you probably would have noticed the Colossus, though. Yeah. I know a lot of people actually like to watch the casts by listening to them. Welcome to my podcast. Hit like and subscribe. If we get 2,500 likes, I'll upload another video. If we don't, I will upload another video. You've been warned. Ooh, nice Widow Mine. Oh, the Widow Mine didn't connect. Ooh, close. Okay, you know what? These Phoenixes are starting to get a lot of value. Split off the Phoenix right there at the end of that too. Whew. That Phoenix dying was actually kind of hot. He like split it off and then... okay. Clemdo. Pushing ahead as far as the supply count goes. He's going into the... He should really fire up the +1 armor. Hello? Mr. Clement, can we go... No? Okay. +1 armor for the bio units is critical. He wants to go into +2/+1 probably around the same time. In the meantime, MaxPax expanding south. He is gobbling up the entire left side of the map. Interesting expansion pattern right here from Max. He's going into a second robo facility right now. After the Colossi count is high enough, he's gonna transition here into the Disruptors. He knows, of course, that the opponent is gonna go into Ghosts. Ghosts, though, very powerful. Barracks 6, 7, and 8 coming up. Nice EMP. Brilliant EMP, and that's what Clem was looking for. Suddenly, you blink twice, all of the Phoenixes are dead. Prism dies inside of the main base, but quite a few SCVs are gonna pay the price as well. These are the additional barracks that I was talking about. Good crisis management here, though, by Clem. You're always going to lose something against these zealot run-bys. Alright. There's indeed the +2/+1 coming up. Robo Bay. Or Robo Bay? What? Robo Bay, Lowko? Really? Did you just call a planetary a Robo Bay? Okay. A planetary support bay. That's a first time. I've been calling Immortals Marauders and Marauders Immortals for a decade now, but... Alright. Here's the Protoss army. It's walking within range of the sensor tower, though, so Clem can see this coming in from a mile away. That's the scan going down. Yeah, I don't think you want to commit there, Max. Max is maxed. He's maxed packs. But he needs to still be careful. Because pushing up a ramp into a choke point? I mean, pushing down a ramp into a choke point. Also a suboptimal play. Good splits right here, though, against those Novas. Still ended up taking quite a few balls to the face there. Alright. Soon, though, this bio army will hit a nice little power spike. Protoss just hit up to 2-2, or 2-1 rather. So he's going to go into +3/+2 as well. Here's the Colossi once again shooting lasers. Nice splits. Problem, of course, when you're splitting your bio units like that, you're running, so you're not firing. So forcing the micro here is already quite enough for Max, who's now smelling blood in the water. A very different game 5, by the way, compared to the previous ones that we've seen. Colossi are running dangerously low. Here's the reinforcing bio units coming down the ramp as well. A couple Vikings up in the air too. They end up finishing off the Colossi. Okay. Oh, the Novas are hitting though. Both players take a tremendous amount of losses. Disruptor trying to wait on the high ground. Clem is not gonna let that happen. And suddenly MaxPax's very high tier army has been reduced down to good old gateway units. There are disruptors coming out, but I think that's a trait that Clem will be relatively happy with. He knows that economically he's not in the position that Protoss is likely gonna be in, but he also now knows that he's no longer dealing with any of those really annoying high tier units. Marine Marauder, Medevac, and Ghost, it feels much better against this type of army, where you're not dealing with Phoenixes and Colossi and all the rest of it. Zealots going into the natural expansion though, trying to create a distraction, and even though he wanted to go for a lot more, the Prism just barely got sniped. In the meantime, by the way, MaxPax is also trying to become neighbors on the right side of the map. Yeah, MaxPax is trying to become neighbors for a while now. He's invited Clem to the neighborhood barbecue. He's invited his neighbor to drinks. Just maybe hang out once, but Clem wants none of it. And this choke point over here is phenomenal for Clem, obviously. Yeah, Clem doesn't want to be neighbors. He wants to be your stereotypical, socially awkward gamer. Like me! I get invited to a neighborhood barbecue. Did I go? No. Admittedly, it was right in the middle of my stream. Did I go? No, I didn't really want to go. No, to hang out with people that I don't really... Oh, anyways, big push over here. On the right side of the map. In the meantime, though, there's also some aggression here on the left. Dark Templar were mixed in, but luckily for Clem, he noticed in time and he decided to scan. Nexus is going to end up getting killed. And 16 probes also pay the price. Okay. Push on the right side of the map is at least attempted once again. Clem trying to get value here on the left. Clem now finding himself with a very, very good advantage now. His upgrades are gonna continue kicking in. Yep, and he is starting up the mass command center, the mass liberator style. That'll be his late game army. He'll be aiming for as many libs as possible. As long as he's dodging the Novas, he should be okay. Colossi once again joining in, by the way. Now that the Vikings have disappeared, but extended thermal lens on Mass Liberator is still going to be amazing. I think he's overextending a bit, though. Clem is dancing here at the front, not achieving anything other than death for his own units. I mean, it's nice. Nice flip right there by the Ghost as well. Yeah, I think we're bleeding out one too many units here, Clem. Like, sitting there fighting into Colossi like that, like, even if you're microing your heart out and you're dodging all of the Novas, the Colossi are still dealing a lot of sustained damage. Clem right now, though, is finding himself with a solid economy, right? And he's got the tech lead here as well. It's awkward for Protoss to make the transition towards, for example, Tempest. Usually, that's considered to be like a proper counter against Mass Liberator, but it's just, the transition doesn't really work. MaxPax is not in a spot right now where you can go into you can't go into a Stargate and then a Fleet Beacon and then a second Stargate and then more temp. Like, it just takes forever. He doesn't have time. Okay. So instead, he's gonna try and deal with the Liberator transition just like so. He gets the Command Center kill, not bad. It's also, though, because part of the Terran army is missing on the right side of the map. Terran is actually just being overwhelmed right now inside of their own natural expansion. MaxPax is making a move here straight up the opponent's natural ramp. A very ballsy play here by MaxPax. He may have just found an opportunity, though. Yeah, he's sniping the Liberators one at a time. Bowling backwards here with the Disruptors. He's got so many that he pretty much always has one available. Another Command Center will fall. Now he's going into the main base as well. Looks like, by the way, the push on the other side of the map has been pushed back. The Dark Templar were probably the reason as to why that happened. Clem trying to stay alive in his own main base, but he's suddenly overwhelmed. Whew. I love the backwards bowling with the Disruptors. Yeah, they buy so much time. Rarely do we see a player of this caliber take a big Nova to the face. But MaxPax is using them for zoning. Now, I think ultimately, though, with the reinforcing Terran units coming out, nice pickup as well there, yeah. Protoss is gonna have to get the hell out of there, and he will recall with the majority of the units. In the meantime, though, Dark Templar absolutely tearing everything apart. 33 SCVs have gone down in addition to the ones that already fell earlier. Look at these sneaky boys. And I love that because this is also enabled because of those Novas. So in a very strange way, the Purification Novas didn't really deal that much damage. But they did allow MaxPax to get into the natural, constantly bowling in that direction. Did allow him to get into the main base, constantly bowling down the ramp. And obviously it's forcing so much of the attention of the Terran on that army to make sure he doesn't take damage from the Nova, that the Dark Templar becomes significantly more powerful. It's really hard to actually be switching your screen while you're trying to micro against those Purification Novas. The DTs are not done yet. They have Shadow Strike. These guys need to be respected. Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, it's a dangerous decision to blink into that. I love the one Widow Mine here as well. He's thinking about committing. Oh. Okay, we're just gonna straight up fight this? Okay. Maybe a little bit of an overextension right here by MaxPax. Obviously, he just used recall on the Stalkers, though. Yeah, nicely done here by Clem. Bunch of the Stalkers do come in from the back. Widowmine does spot this army. Marine as well sees the flank coming in. Clem once again grabs the supply lead. Keep in mind, he's got advanced ballistics right now, so Liberators are going to be substantially more powerful. MaxPax's only counter is going to be Blink. Okay. Nice wave of units here as well, though. Clem trying to arc as much of that army out as possible. Another Nova does get dodged. Whew. Okay. This game has now pretty much been evened up. Liberator in the top right-hand corner. How many ghosts are we currently on? Only 3. I think you need a couple more ghosts. They're expensive. He doesn't have a ton of minerals, but... You know what? Clem actually needs to get another base here pretty soon. He's lost so many SCVs. 69 in total. Pretty good. Some might even call it quite nice. He's making 6 new SCVs. Yeah, he's taking the center base. This expansion is absolutely critical right now to Clem's longevity in this game. It's once again Disruptors and Colossi. MaxPax has gone back to his good old comfortable style. There's not really that many libs yet. There's 6 Liberators up in the sky. Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's good enough here for Clem. Oh, careful. Marauder gets sniped. Zealot there on the right side as well. Once again, the Colossi are dealing so much damage, though. Ooh. Clem, by the way, never got +3 armor, but he does snipe one of those Disruptors. In the heat of this game, he actually forgot about the +3 infantry armor, since those upgrades were disjointed earlier. Oh, the Colossi are dealing in so much damage. I mean, yeah, this is mostly Marauders right now. They don't obviously take as much damage from a Colossus as, for example, a Marine would, but at this point, since there's about as many Medivacs as there are bio units, Clem is going to lift up and get on out of there. More and more Dark Templar, by the way, going to town everywhere. Ultimately, they're the real MVPs of this game so far here. MaxPax finds himself with a 70+ supply lead. Oh, rarely do I see Clem lose control of a game. It barely happens. He was ahead in this match for sure. But now suddenly he finds himself up with his back against the wall. In the middle of the Liberator transition, suddenly he got overwhelmed by a very aggressive push. And then the Dark Templar coming in from the right. I think he's just done it. Command Center ended up going down here as well, it looks like. One Zealot pretending to, alright, well, harass a mineral line that's as far away from that Command Center as possible. Liberator still up in the air. Still no reliable counter for MaxPax. But rather than fighting where the Liberators are, he is running circles around them. Yeah. Clem is saying, back off, don't fight me. But I think the Stalker count is good enough. GG is called. It's actually MaxPax who obtains the victory over Clem. 3-2. Banger of a series. That was some of the very best Protoss gameplay I have ever seen. Obviously, heads off to Clem. I think we all know that Clem is ridiculously good at this matchup. He rarely loses in TVP. MaxPax is pushing him to the absolute limit, and I haven't really seen Clem sweat like that in this matchup in a long time. Insane.